Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Smith Gregory, and I am constantly learning Zoom. So I think that we're all here now, and I just wanted to play some music while we gathered. We have a very important session for you this evening, and we just wanted to give folks a few moments to come on our Facebook page. We ask that you share this information, share it live with your pages. We ask that the Urban League shares it, the other NAACP branches, and members, and just the community at large. We have to get accurate information to you. It's so important that we vote. Good evening. My name is Deborah Smith Gregory, and I serve as the president of the NAACP Newark, New Jersey branch. And this evening, the branches of NAACPs located in Essex County, that would be Irvington, Montclair, Oranges, Maplewood, and the Urban League of Essex County. We have come together to provide this very, very important information. We know that there's a lot of misinformation that is running rampant in our community, and the purpose of this evening is to inform you and empower you. So please make sure that you pay close attention. And when we're done, share this information. We have approximately 20 days before the November 3rd election. And our hashtag is Own Your Vote. Our lives depend on it. That is a collaboration between Oprah, Own Your Vote, and the NAACP. Our lives depend on it. We're really pushing hard. We all have a responsibility. So COVID-19 has turned all of our lives upside down. We have lost over 215,000 lives to this deadly virus. And while all of this is going on, we still have a responsibility. That responsibility is to vote on November 3rd. Vote for the presidential in the presidential side, but also vote down the ballot and turn the ballot over and vote the questions as well. I would like to introduce you to our co-moderator. Her name is Miss Lolita Kirby, and she is an activist, influencer, passionate with over a decade of service and experience with social services. She is a licensed social worker and the founder of an organization called LOLA, which stands for, and I want to read it, Legacy of Organization, Leadership and Advocacy Wellness Solutions. It is a faith-based initiative designed to promote wellness, spirituality, and recovery. Her vision is to break down the stigmas in the African-American community around mental illness, substance use prevention, and health disparities. Lolita is a member of the National Association of Social Workers, the National Association of Negro Women, and a member of the NAACP Newark branch. Under the leadership of Vivian Cox Frazier, who is the CEO for the Urban League of Essex County, Lolita currently serves as the president of the Essex County Young Professionals for the term of 2019-2021. That group is a group of engaged young citizens between the ages of 21 and 40 who are working to empower their community. They are activists and working to make a significant difference in Essex County. I present to you Lolita Kirby.
Thank you, Deborah. We have invited Christopher Durkin, Essex County Clerk, to walk us through the vote by mail process. For many of us like myself, We may vote in every election, but may not have had the occasion to vote by mail. We want to ensure your ballot is not tossed aside because of errors you made. Christopher Durkin was elected the office of Essex County Clerk in November 2005 and officially sworn in January 2006. His office oversees elections for Essex County residents, the largest county in the state. Chris has served in various capacities of public service, including a director of human services, a teacher, a job placement officer, and a detective. He lives in Essex County with his wife and 3 children. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Lolita.
Before we get started with questions, we want to take you through a step-by-step video narrated by Chris Durkin.
Recently, the governor and the legislature mandated that this election, the November 3rd general election, will be primarily a vote by mail election. There will be polling places, a limited amount of polling places on election day, if you did not vote by mail, where you can vote on a provisional paper ballot, or if you're a disabled voter, you can vote using the audio component of the voting machine. This is your ballot. Every registered voter will be mailed a ballot. You'll know it's your ballot when you see this thick red band that says official ballot enclosed. And I'm going to open up the ballot. And inside, we have a voting ballot. We have a certificate envelope, which your ballot will go inside of once you vote. And we have the return envelope, which will go back to the Board of Elections to be counted when you receive your ballot. Vote, sign, seal, return. What you want to first do is vote your ballot. So you're going to vote. The first choice you have is for president, and then you can vote for U.S. Senate, House of Representatives. You have county offices running. You also have local offices running. And on the back of the ballot, you're going to have school board candidates, and in 2 municipalities, you're going to have nonpartisan municipal races. You also have 3 state ballot questions to vote on. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use a black or blue pen or a pencil and darken in the oval, fill in the oval completely of your choice, right below the name of your choice. You're going to do that on the front and the back. And once you've completed voting, you're going to fold your ballot. You're going to then insert your ballot into the certificate envelope. You seal it, and then you're going to print your name and your address and your signature. If anyone is assisting you, the assister can fill out the information underneath your signature. You're going to sign the certificate envelope just like you sign the poll book when you go to the polls on election day to vote. That'll verify that you are the person voting this ballot. Then you're going to take this certificate envelope and you're going to place it into the return envelope, which has prepaid postage attached. You're going to want to make sure the barcode is showing in the window of the return envelope. You're going to seal this. You can put your name and address if you'd like on here, and it'll return back to the Board of Elections. There's many ways to get your ballot back to the Board of Elections. We have secure ballot drop boxes, and that will be included also in your ballot. There's a list of secure ballot drop boxes. There's one in every municipality, and there's a few more in a few towns. Also, with your ballot will come quick tips on how to vote. And then also, you can read the state ballot questions, English and Spanish, in the insert that you will receive in your ballot. You can also bring your ballot back to the polling place, to your polling place, to submit to the board worker. So you can use the United States Postal Service to return your ballot. You can use a secure mailbox. You can bring your ballot back yourself to the Board of Elections, or you can send a bearer, a carrier for you to come back to the Board of Elections, but they will need to sign the outside of this envelope, the return envelope, as the bearer or carrier of your ballot in order for that ballot to count. Voting is your greatest right. We all need to vote. We all need to have our voices heard. Let's vote, and together we can make democracy work.
Chris, are there any other instructions or suggestions you would like to add to the video we just saw?
Well, I would like to first start out by saying that I appreciate being invited onto this forum, very important forum. And I want to thank Deborah Smith-Gregory for all that she does towards education and encouragement of being engaged in the process. And I also want to thank you, Lolita Kirby, for your engagement, especially with young people being engaged in the process, because what we've seen, whether you think it's fair or not, people are listened to more when they vote. So we need constituencies to stand up and vote because you will have more of an ear to people who are making decisions. And again, like I say, anyone could say it's fair or it's not fair, but it's the truth. So it's so important, as Deborah said earlier, that everyone needs to have their voice heard, because voting is power. And people notice when people vote, and they notice when people don't vote. So everyone must be engaged. We're looking at we want 100% participation at all times. And we want to strip away any barriers to the election process. We want to make it as easy as possible. And I think in New Jersey, we've done that over this last year, especially with the help of all of you. We're allowing for secure ballot drop boxes, multiple secure ballot drop boxes, with allowing for the remedy of a ballot if a signature does not compare, or if you forgot to put your signature on the certificate envelope, that you get an opportunity to cure your ballot and have it counted. As an example, in the primary, 1,200 ballots were denied for signature comparison. 521 voters updated their signatures and had their ballots counted. This will be a whole lot more as far as numbers being denied, whether it be a signature comparison or an omission of a signature on a certificate envelope. But you'll have an opportunity to update your signature, to have it counted. One thing I wanted to say about the video, I know there's a lot of fear about, maybe some people didn't show the barcode in the window. So some people put their return certificate envelope backwards in the ballot. It doesn't matter, because the barcode showing is only a convenience to the board workers who are scanning in that voter's information, so it uploads into the system. All they would then have to do is open up the outer envelope, pull out the certificate envelope, and scan in. So it doesn't matter if the barcode is showing or not. It's only a convenience for the board workers that are scanning in the ballot. Also, if you don't, so here's another very interesting point. What I want everyone to do, Lolita, it's so important, and Deborah, that people take their time, not take their time in getting their ballots back. We want ballots back as soon as possible, but take your time in voting, because a lot of mistakes happen. You wouldn't believe, or you're going to believe because it's the truth, that 6% of voters do not include their ballot in their envelope to be returned. So think about 100,000 votes, and 6,000 voters will not have their votes counted simply because they did not put their ballot into the envelope. They kept it on their table or put it on another table. So it's very important to go slow and to make sure every step is followed. We get calls every day, people saying, "I forgot to put my ballot in the ballot, the return envelope," and we're helping to get them an opportunity to have their vote heard. But that is so important that the steps are followed, that they vote their ballot first. The ballot goes in the certificate envelope, that they fill out the certificate envelope, printed name, address. Signature is most important. Even if you don't have your printed name and your address, the signature is what verifies you as the voter of that ballot. And then another thing that people are nervous about is the return ballot, the return envelope. The bearer or carrier portion, that if the voter wants to fill that out themselves, they can. Even if they're bearer, they're carrying their own ballot to the secure mailbox or to the post office or back to the Board of Elections, it seems to be like 50% of the voters are filling that out themselves as their own carrier or bearer of the ballot, which is perfectly fine to do. So I know I just covered a whole lot, but now if you want to, go back and forth as far as a discussion, I'd love it.
Okay. We have some questions here from residents of Essex County, and I will read those. Okay. So question 1, I misplaced my ballot. What should I do?
Okay. Great question. So we have a second ballot request form that is at essexclerk.com. So it's on our website. It's also on every municipal clerk's website. You just need to download that form. You fill out the form. You can either take a picture of it with your phone, you can scan it in, you can email it back to us. The email is on the bottom of that form. You can fax it back to us, or you can bring it in and get your ballot in person at the Hall of Records and vote on it in person and hand it right back into the Board of Elections. So that's the best way to receive a second ballot. We send those ballots out on the day we receive the second ballot request form. We mail the ballots out first class postage.
Thank you. Next question. I don't trust that secure ballot box. How do I guarantee my vote is counted once I drop it off in the box?
Okay, great question. And here's what I will say. We had only 5 secure ballot drop boxes in the primary. And so they weren't utilized as much, obviously, because they were limited. And it was minimal as far as the amount of ballots coming back through the secure mailbox. 90% of the ballots came back through the United States Postal Service. Amazingly, in this election, 70% of the ballots we're getting back are through the secure ballot drop box. Only 30% are through the post office. So people are trusting the secure ballot drop box because they are picked up on a daily basis by the Board of Elections to be counted. And when they get back to the Board of Elections, they are scanned in. That barcode is scanned in, and that voter's information is uploaded into a file that says that voter's ballot has been received and ready for counting. And then that voter can check on the New Jersey Division of Elections website that their ballot has been received and the date that it was received. So the secure ballot drop boxes, there's 25 throughout Essex County. Actually, there's 26. There's 3 in Newark. There's 2 in West Orange. There's 1 in every of the 22 municipalities in Essex County. Every secure mailbox is bolted into the concrete by 4 bolts. Every secure mailbox has a 24-hour video surveillance on it. And like I said, the contents are picked up on a daily basis. So you're bypassing the post office, mostly because of time, right? The post office, it takes longer to get back. So it's actually allowing for less time to get back to the Board of Elections and to be scanned in and to start the process of counting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Can I vote inside the Hall of Records? Can I take my ballot inside the election office?
Yes. So we've set up in the lobby of the Hall of Records like a one-stop voter experience where we have voter registration, which sadly ended Tuesday. But voter registration is very important in this process even now because a voter's address might be incorrect. They might be registered, but they're registered in the system in apartment 3D, but they really should be 3B. So they're not getting their ballot because the post office only delivers to exact addresses. but it's an opportunity for a voter to update their address to their correct address. And then it'll allow us to give a ballot to a voter based on a request. And then the voter is able to give the ballot to the Board of Elections to start the process of counting the ballot. So we're all set up in the lobby of the Hall of Records to assist voters every day.
Okay, we're all set. We're going to go to the next question. If for some reason I do not receive my ballot, will polls still be open? What can I expect at the polling places?
Okay,
If
so,
it-
yeah, I'm sorry. Did you?
If it's a little bit more, okay.
Yeah.
If they are not all open, how do I find out which one are and which are not?
Okay, so it's a great question because it brings me to another topic that I want to talk about. We've mailed out more than 540,000 ballots. We've received more than 120,000 ballots back from voters. Our record is from 2008, the first Obama election, which we received, or there were 320,000 votes cast. 320,000. So we're 200,000 votes from that record. One thing that we're going to do tomorrow is mail a postcard to the 120,000 voters that have already voted, thanking them for voting. And giving them relief that they're going to receive a postcard saying your vote has been received to be counted. And then we're going to do that a week from now with any more votes that come in. Along with that, next week, there will be postcards mailed to every registered voter, telling the registered voter, here is where your polling place is. If you have not voted by mail yet, you could vote at this specific polling place on election day. And it'll also say on that postcard that they could view the sample ballots at essexclerk.com. It'll explain the matter of the election, why the election is being run the way it is being run, based on state law, making it a primarily vote by mail election. And voters can go to their polling place on election day. They can bring their vote by mail ballot back to their polling place on election day and put it inside a secure ballot dropbox inside their polling place. They sign a ledger that only they can bring, only you can bring your own ballot back. You cannot bring anyone else's ballot back to the polling place. But you can vote on a provisional paper ballot at your polling place. And that provisional paper ballot will be brought back to the county election offices on election night. And 8 days after election day, after all of the vote by mail ballots have been counted, that's when the vote by mail ballots, that's when the provisional paper ballots will be verified, and it will be checked against the vote by mail system to make sure that the provisional ballot voters did not vote by mail already. And those provisional ballots will count. Every vote counts in New Jersey, as opposed to some other states. If the race is, too large and there's not enough votes to change the, margin, they don't count those votes. In New Jersey, every ballot is counted. So that's very important to know.
So just a follow-up question. What should a resident do if the ballot was mailed to their home, but it belongs to someone else?
Okay, so they should write on the outside of that ballot, not at this address. And I know we've had ballots go where a person is now deceased, and the resident should write deceased on the outside of the ballot, or not at this address, or moved, and give it back to their postal worker or bring it to the post office so that ballot is returned to the county so that can be documented with the Commissioner of Registration.
I have a question from a young woman that I spoke with her today. She's a member of the NAACP Newark, and she lives in Irvington. Her name is Beverly Miller. She is a longtime voter. She looked up her voting record, so she knows that she's active. She has not received a ballot. She called and she told me what number she called. She said, I called 973-621-4921. She got a voicemail. She left a detailed message, but she did not get a response. So I just wanted you to tell her what she needs to do, because she represents many that may not have gotten their ballots, and they need to, and your line, your telephone line is swamped. So please tell us what she can do and others like her that are in that situation.
Okay, so we have the second ballot request form at EssexClerk.com, where that form can be downloaded. But you can also call my cell phone, 973-650-0771. You can call me directly, and I'll make sure you get another ballot. So I know you said it. So what's interesting about it is we have 20 people answering phones all day. And what's happening is, if you get thousands of phone calls, it's difficult, especially being that one person might need only 2 minutes of help, and then another person needs 20 minutes of help. So you're tying a person up for 20 minutes, and it's needed because that person wants to maybe talk about the ballot, every step of the ballot, believe me, every step of the ballot. So that's what's pretty difficult about the onslaught of calls, all seemingly to be ringing off the hook like a symphony at the same time. And we're trying to answer every call or get back to every message.
Okay.
Okay. To follow up on Deborah's question, a senior citizen says she lives in a senior building and cannot get to the post office. Can someone else drop off her ballot to a secure ballot box?
Yes, great question too, because they then have a couple options. So they can, if they're able to, give it back to their postal worker. That's one option, right? So if they're able to get it to their mailbox, where the postal worker will take that return ballot when they're delivering new mail, or as you said, they can give it to another person as their bearer or carrier of that ballot to bring to the post office, or to bring to a secure ballot drop box, or to bring back to the Board of Elections to hand in. But it's imperative, it's so important that that person fills out the bearer portion on the outside of that ballot before they leave the voter. It is tragic when that doesn't happen and that person brings that ballot back to the Board of Elections without that portion being filled out, and that ballot does not count because there's been a break in the chain of custody of that ballot, and the Board of Elections denies that ballot and does not count that ballot. And that cannot be rectified. Like, there's no way to rectify, just like if you do not include your ballot in your ballot and you don't know about it, obviously they're not going to let you know that you didn't include your ballot on there. The only two ways you are every denial is documented, right? So if you didn't include your ballot, it gets documented and it's public information, but you're not being told that you did not include your ballot in your return envelope. The only two notifications to a voter is if that voter's signature did not compare, or if you did not include your signature on the certificate envelope. Then you have a chance to cure your signature, update your signature, and have your ballot counted. But those are the only two ways that you will be notified, but every denial is documented.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you use any Dropbox? You said there are 26, and you said there are 3 in Newark. Now, I know one is in front of the Hall of Records. One is on Green Street by City Hall. Where's the third one?
The third one is at the Veterans Courthouse. So really not too far from the Hall of Records, the front of the Hall of Records to the Veterans Courthouse at the entrance of the Rosa Parks statue. So those are the 3 in Newark. There are 2 more that are being talked about, but they haven't been finalized.
Can you use any Dropbox or?
Yes, that was your great question. And yes, you can, as an Essex County voter, you can utilize any Dropbox in Essex County. Now, we are getting ballots in Essex County from Hudson County, from Union County. I wouldn't advise that because we then have to forward those ballots through the mail service. So you're just wasting time by putting it in the secure mailbox in the wrong county. We will send that, but it's being sent in the post office just like you would have done anyway.
Okay. I have another question from residents. I was given an early release from prison based on the virus. I want to register to vote. Can I vote in November 3rd election?
Great question. So March 17th, the governor signed a law which allows any person on probation or parole to vote. But in New Jersey, you first need to register to vote in order to vote. So that's what's so important, because previously anyone on probation or parole or incarcerated were taken off the voter rolls. So they are taken off the voter rolls, which means that they have to re-register, proactively re-register, which is very important to do. And we've been working with the state courts, the county courts, to notify any person on parole or probation to proactively send them a form, to if they have email, to send them the link to register online. It's been discussed in every meeting with anyone on probation or parole about registering. Obviously, we are 2 days past voter registration, but people can still register for the future. So we need people to know that they can still register to vote for future elections. Also, what was very important, and you talk about the youth, there's a gap of young people who were turning 18 in between October 13th and November 3rd. They are eligible to vote, but they're only eligible to vote if they first register by October 13th, right? So we've had so many young people who turn 18 on November 1st and want to vote, but they did not take the first step in registering 21 days before Election Day, so that they could have their voice heard. But yes, that's very important, that anyone on probation or parole can register to vote, but they must proactively register to vote.
So the new voters that turned 18 that did register to vote, and it's their first time voting, they registered by October 13th, they will get a mail-in ballot, or they'll get a postcard?
They'll get both. They'll be mailed a vote by mail ballot automatically on when the registration is live, and then they will be mailed a postcard about the option of a polling place. We have a law in New Jersey which is called Pending 17. So in the calendar year where you are going to turn 18, you can register to vote as a 17-year-old, and it's put in the system and it goes active when you become 17. So that's what's important is, if in January, if you were going to be turning 18 this year, you put your registration in so that it gets input in the system, and then it becomes active on your 18th birthday.
Now, when you're talking about students, I did get a question from a college student. He said he changed his address, but he didn't make the change on a voter registration form. And he is currently away at college in California. How does he go about getting a ballot?
Okay, very, very important question. And we have that also in Essex County, where your registered address is different than your mailing address. So we have a lot of situations like that where your registered address in Essex County is going to be, your mailing address is going to be different than your registered address. What we need for people to do is, on that second ballot request form, there is a portion for their name, their registered address, their mail to address, and then their signature. Because we then input in the system where we are mailing that ballot. So even in Essex County, we could have a registered voter in Bloomfield who's living with a family member in Belleville, but we're going to send them their Bloomfield ballot to where they are, temporarily living. Maybe their house is being, construction done or what have you. But as I said, the mail to address can be different than the registered address. You
Okay.
just have to notify us.
Okay. Lolita?
Yes. So residents are being asked to weigh in on 3 questions on the general election ballot. What would you, can you elaborate on those 3 questions?
Okay, so the first question, ballot question number 1, is legalizing marijuana. So it's a yes, no question as far as legalizing marijuana. And it would be, if you vote yes, you are legalizing marijuana, and the age would be 21. And it would allow for state and municipalities to tax marijuana. So in a nutshell, that's question number 1. Question number 2 is whether or not you approve of veterans who are not disabled in active duty receiving a $250 property tax break.
Mm-hmm.
And then question number 3 is the most interesting of them all. Question number 3, and I hear a lot of people discussing whether or not to vote yes or no on question 3. It's very hotly discussed. So question number 3 is saying, because of the census being delayed, or the possibility of the census being delayed, and I'm going to get to, it seems like the census is not going to be delayed, but it was brought up because the census was possibly delayed, and we need to redistrict legislative districts based on the census data. And we would naturally redistrict legislative districts this coming spring of 2021, so that those districts would be set for the June primary in 2021 for the next 10 years.
Mm.
Based on the delay in the census, or the thought of the census being delayed, what that question said was, if the census is going to be delayed, do you want to postpone redistricting until 2023? So there would be it's a 2-year term for state senate and assembly in their current districts. And then in 2023 spring, based on the census data, the legislative districts would be updated. But there's been a lot of discussion saying, so now the president is saying, I don't want to extend the census, and the Supreme Court has upheld that the census is pretty much over. And so it seems as though we're going to have that data, but this is a constitutional amendment question. So does that become effective? And a lot of people are saying they don't want it to become effective. They would rather, if we're going to have if we're going to have census data in the spring, then we can redistrict and fairly redistrict based on the current demographics. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained it thoroughly enough, but there's been a lot of back and forth on that question. And I know there's a lot of groups that are saying vote no because they think that there's other options available, or to look at other options instead of just saying, hey, let's just postpone it for 2 years and not look at maybe other possibilities of redistricting.
Wow. That's, so folks, while you're discussing plan how you're going to vote, do not leave it blank because you can't make up your mind. This is not sitting on the fence time. You're either a yes or a no. Thank you. Lolita?
Last question. What can individuals do who are in rehab, hospitals, or nursing homes who may not have received a ballot?
Okay, so again, they can request a ballot with that second ballot request form. And another thing that leads me to about people that are homeless as far as registering to vote you can register at a homeless facility. You can register at the Hall of Records in Newark, where you could come and get a ballot. You don't have to own a property or rent a property to be registered to vote. So there are addresses that you can use to register to vote and have access to the vote. But if someone at the facility, you can have a messenger from that facility come to the Hall of Records to get the ballot for the person or patient. That person can, you're saying that they're not able to come out of that, they can request us to mail a ballot to the facility. Again, that's a mail to address. We can mail the ballot to any address that is requested by that voter, as long as they are a registered voter of Essex County. So, I think that covers the options for that voter. And like I said, that you always have the option of someone coming for the ballot for that voter to bring the ballot to the voter if they are homebound or not able to leave a facility.
We have a couple of questions in the from Facebook, but what I would like to say while you're talking about the rehab, those of you who are affiliated with churches and you see the sick and shut-in list, please call folks and ask them, just check on their wellness, but also ask them, have they received a ballot? And if not, how you can help them get one so that they can vote. Just because they're in a rehab or nursing home, they still have value and their vote matters, but we have to help them. In the chat room, this is coming from a gentleman by the name of Che Coulter. He says, how long will the cast votes count take to be certified?
Okay, great question. And a new law that was just enacted allows for the counting of ballots to begin 10 days before Election Day, which is very helpful because in New Jersey, you could only start counting ballots previously beginning on Election Day. So this really allows us to, count, the ballots thoroughly and with enough time to get a great count, a 90+% count on election night. So allowing the counting of ballots for 10 days prior to Election Day, right up to Election Day, and then ballots can still come in through the mail. Vote by mail ballots can still come in through the mail up to 7 days after Election Day. And then those ballots will be counted each day after Election Day that are verified. And then on the 8th day after Election Day, the provisional ballots begin the process of verification. And those provisional ballots then will be counted from November 11th to November 21st over a 10-day period. At the same time, any person whose ballot was denied based on signature comparison or lack of signature has the opportunity to get their cure letter in, either by email, by fax, or by handing it in up until November 21st. So at the same day that provisional ballot counting ends on November 21st is the same deadline for any cure letters to come back and have those ballots counted. And then November 23rd is the deadline for me to certify election results. So November 23rd will be the final election results posted on the website. But on election night at 9 p.m., we should have 90% plus of the results posted at Essex Clerk. Pray to God, Deborah, right? I hope that comes to pass. Right?
So let's be very clear, provisional ballots, because someone said, Christine Denise Williams is saying, can we drop the ballot off on November 3rd? So we want to be really clear that there are no machines at polling sites on November 3rd. And the Prudential Arena, can you just go there? Or is that specific for specific polling sites?
Yeah, that's right. That's a great question. And that's specific because there's been some miscommunication on that, thinking that it's they're trying to call it a super polling place, right? Which it's big, so it's a super polling place, but only the voters of those 8 districts can go to that polling site to vote provisional. But any voter technically can go to that polling place if they have their vote by mail ballot and want to bring their vote by mail ballot into that polling place and put it in the secure ballot drop box, because you can put your ballot, your already voted vote by mail ballot, in any secure ballot drop box, in any polling place, in any secure ballot drop box throughout the county. But as far as voting a provisional paper ballot or voting on the audio component of the machine, you have to be a registered voter of one of those 8 districts, and you will receive a postcard telling you, yes, your polling place is the Prudential Center. So hopefully, that clears up.
There are no machines, because people have it in their minds that they need to vote on November 3rd, go to the polling place. They are not pulling a lever like what we're used to, correct?
That's correct. Very important statement there. There are no voting machines with the push button electronic voting machines that we're used to. They will not be there. All there's going to be is vote or provisional ballots where you can vote on a provisional paper ballot, or if you're a disabled voter, it's going to be this small machine that where you can plug in a headset and listen to the audio version of the ballot and use a handheld device to make your choices, which possibly could take 15 to 20 minutes to listen to the ballot. So as you said, Deborah, there is no option of voting on a machine with a curtain and you make your choices on an electronic voting machine. It's not available.
So if you just insist on going to a poll on November 3rd, the best that you can do is hand your vote by mail ballot to a poll worker, and it can only be yours. It cannot be someone else's, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to, we want to inform because there is so much misinformation. We're getting very positive feedback on Facebook where people are saying that the information is great. We would ask that you share this information with people. How many voters did you say are in Essex County? How many?
540,000.
All right, so this message is to the 530,000 people who have received a registered vote by mail. We need you to own your vote this year. We need it every year. Our lives depend on it this year. And so we're gonna close out. Is there any closing tips? Are there any closing tips that you would like to share before we close out? Because we did not come to entertain. We came to inform and empower our constituents. It is very, very important.
Deborah, I would just say that voting is our greatest right. And I'll tell you how strong our voting right is. The examples are littered in our 242-year history of people not allowed to vote, hurdles being put in front of people to vote. That's how powerful it is that it is hard to receive that right. Think about that for a moment. It's a right, and it has to be granted. It should be a right to every eligible voter 18 years of older to have their voices heard. We have 19 days, 19 days to let your voices heard, 19 days to call your friends, 19 days to send out an email, a text, a message to your neighbor, to your friend, to vote. I want to hear every voice. And I appreciate Deborah, I appreciate Lolita for allowing me, giving me the invitation, allowing me the opportunity to share this time with you. It's the most valuable time, I think I can spend, and I hope it's been valuable to some other people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Lolita, I would really appreciate you giving a message to your constituents, the young professionals of the Urban League, because they're in various counties, that 21 to 40-year-old demographic that you get beaten up so badly about, you all don't care, and all of the negative remarks that are made about you, as if it's everything is your fault that is going wrong in our communities, and that simply is not so. You are an example of that. So I would ask that you speak not to me, but to speak to your constituents, 21 to 40, with a message.
Thank you. So enough is enough. Vote. We are not MIA, missing in action, but we are millennials in action. This is the season, and this is the time for us to sow a seed of legacy. We have to take up the torch that has been given to us. We have to get started, mobilize, and come together with unity, with research, with policy, with an understanding that we have a charge assigned to us as millennials. So this is the time. If you want to work. There's so much work to do. And if you want to join the Urban League of Essex County Young Professionals, please join us. You can go to www.ulec.org. Thank you.
Thank you. And in closing, on behalf of Thurman Dancy, who is the president of the Irvington NAACP, Al Pelham, president of Montclair NAACP, Tom Puryear, president of Oranges Maplewood NAACP, and Vivian Cox Frazier, CEO of the Urban League of Essex County. We urge everyone in Essex County. We are the largest county, folks. We came together in collaboration to urge you to vote. Mail in your ballots now. Call 5 friends, okay? Call 5 friends that are they don't have to be in Essex County. They could be in New Jersey. So call 5 friends in New Jersey, and then call 5 friends in those other states like Michigan, Georgia. We know people in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and urge them to vote as well. It is very, very important. And before we go, we just want to kind of recap what Chris said. So we're going to share the screen one more time. So actually, he said there's 5 ways. We're saying there's 4 ways. The Dropbox, U.S. Postal Service, in person to the county elections, in person to designating polling locations on election days. That's how you can do it. Dropbox, and in Newark there are 3, but in Essex County there are 26. You look for it and go do a caravan and get your neighbors to go, or you can do it by mail, but I'm just going to be very forthcoming about the mail based on all of the controversy around the mail. And someone in the chat room said to encourage people to vote, to drop it in the U.S. Postal Service. In good conscience, I cannot do that. I am advocating for the ballot drop box, or come in person to the County Board of Elections. But if you do that, you need to put your patient hat on, because there was a line the other day from people not wanting to put their ballot in the drop box and waiting. So you do not expect this. We're still in COVID-19, folks, and there's still social distancing. Do not expect to run up the steps of the Hall of Records and drop and go upstairs and hand it to someone. It is not like that. You will be stopped. You have to get your temperature taken. Then you have to go through the metal detector, and then you go to the lobby. right? And I'm just saying that because I experienced it the other day. Or you can, if you just insist, because in your mind, you have to vote on November 3rd, no matter what anyone says, take your ballot and hand it to a poll worker. We said there are 24 secure drop boxes in Essex County. Chris corrected us. There are 25, 26, and this list is in your mail. Do not ask where these boxes are. Look in your mail. We have a role to play too in terms of being responsible. If you want more information, you can go to the essexclerk.com. We have the office number, and Chris even gave his cell phone, but we have a role to play. So the NAACP branches of Essex County and the Urban League have a call to action. And our call to action is follow the instructions on the ballot. Please. That's number one. We're saying drop your ballot in the drop box. Don't believe the scare tactics about something that the box is going to catch on fire and all the other things that if you listen to certain channels on television, you will think that there is absolutely no safe way to vote. We in New Jersey, we have a safe way. And in Essex County, we have an even safer way because Chris Durkin is our ally working to make sure that if we do our part, he does his part. Own your vote. Our lives depend on it. Don't delay, vote. This evening was sponsored by the NAACP branches of Irvington, Montclair, Newark, Oranges, Maplewood, and the Urban League of Essex County. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us. Please share the information, and this recording will be available on YouTube tomorrow in the event that you miss some of it. Take care. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lolita Kirby, for being a fantastic co-moderator and speaking to your constituents and your audience. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.